36 Eight-Trigram arrays, the array of affection. Xiefeng. Translation edited by Qinyu. What in the world is affection, that it inspires beings to vow to accompany each other in life and death? Travelers flying together from south to north, their old wings enduring the cold and heat. Joy and sorrow, parting is painful. Among them, there are even more infatuated men and women. You should have something to say. Over 10,000 miles of layered clouds, 1,000 mountains with evening snow, for whom does the lone shadow depart? Yuan Haowen, Moyuer, Goose Mound Lyrics, first verse. What is affection? The weaver girl descends to the mortal world to marry the cowherd, the white snake transforms into Lady White to marry Su Xian, Meng Jiangnu travels thousands of miles to search for her husband and weeps at the Great Wall, Du Shenyang angrily sinks a treasure chest, Romeo willingly drinks poison, Zhu Yingtai willingly jumps into a grave. The stories depicted in books are just the tip of the iceberg. For thousands of years, the world has witnessed countless tragic stories of affection, where affection is so deep, it's like a cliff of broken hearts, and longing consumes the jade-like skin. In the end, the soul is shattered at the end of the world. Secret affairs, elopements to distant lands, sacrificing one's life for affection, dueling for affection, accumulating debts for affection, committing murder for affection, all these lead to chaos, destruction of homes, and the demise of people. What's the point of such fervent affection? Brilliance fades, regrets last a lifetime, speechless before the heavens, only hatred and shame remain. Besides romantic affection between lovers and spouses, there is also affection between father and son, mother and daughter, mother and son, siblings, confidants, friends, comrades, classmates, masters and disciples, teachers and students, hometowns, etc. These constitute the web of human affections, the sea of affections, and the array of affections. Many people live and die for affection. Once affection is lost, people feel lost and aimless, wandering souls on the verge of collapse. What exactly is affection? That people vow to each other in life and death, suffer insomnia from lovesickness, persevere through countless hardships out of deep affection, spend their entire lives without regret, risk their lives in desperation, or engage in illegal activities. Affection is a kind of non-material energy that is embedded in the non-material structure of life to maintain harmony in family, society, fairyland, and humanity. Life must have affection. Without affection, life will perish. The greatest creators have affection, celestial beings have affection, birds and beasts have affection, trees have affection, and even demons and monsters have affection. The more abundant and richer the affection, the closer it is to heaven. The more impoverished and barren the affection, the closer it is to hell. The broader the affection, the closer it is to heaven, the narrower the affection, the closer it is to hell. Affection is a series of 8-trigram arrays, with gods having divine affection, demons having demonic affection, celestials having celestial affection, humans having human affection, monsters having monster affection, ghosts having ghostly affection, beasts having beastly affection, birds having bird affection, trees having tree affection, grass having grass affection, and flowers having flower affection. Thus, it forms the levels and steps of life, the heavenly net, and the heavenly array, binding each level of life to thrive and flourish in their respective spaces, orderly and disciplined. Consciousness, structure, and energy are the three elements that constitute the universe. Nature, love, and Tao are the three great treasures of life. Nature is the characteristic of structure, love is the characteristic of energy, and Tao is the characteristic of consciousness. So, what about affection? Affection embodies all three characteristics of consciousness, structure, and energy. Affection not only has the components of consciousness and structure but also contains the essence of energy. In other words, affection is the need of consciousness and structure, but its essence is a kind of energy, an essential non-material energy needed by consciousness and structure. Therefore, affection is closely related to nature, love, and Tao. As long as there is nature, there is affection, as long as there is love, there is affection; as long as there is Tao, there is affection. Conversely, without nature, there is no affection; without love, there is no affection; without Tao, there is no affection. For human life, affection is like salt. If affection is too weak, life is tasteless; if affection is too strong, life is bitter. To elevate oneself to celestial being, one must escape from the human affection array. Without escaping human affection, one cannot enter divine affection; without entering divine affection, one cannot become a celestial being. How does one escape the human Eight-Trigram array? In short, abandon human affection and seek divine affection. Specifically, diminish parental affection, deepen the affection for the ancestor of Buddha. Theoretically, the richer and broader the affection, the more divine it is; the poorer and narrower the affection, the more human it is. Specifically, diminish parental affection, deepen the affection for the ancestor of Buddha, the greatest creator; diminish the affection for siblings, friends; deepen the affection for the universe, all things in nature; diminish the monogamous affection between men and women; deepen the predestined ethereal affection of the fairyland; diminish the affection between master and disciple, teacher and student; deepen the affection for Tao, the truth. Theoretically, the richer and broader the affection, the more divine it is; the poorer and narrower the affection, the more human it is. In practice, the more relatives, the more divine affection; the more lovers, the more divine affection; the more beloved ones, the more divine affection; the more one loves mountains, rivers, and nature, the more divine affection; the more one cherishes all life, the more divine affection; the more one enjoys playing and having fun, the more divine affection. What is affection in the world? At this point, the answer is found. Deeply affectionate, earnestly heartfelt. Mountains, rivers, and all things are loved by me. Heaven and earth merge with affection. Yin and yang unite, and the fairyland is born. Unending affection, not obsessed with affection. My affection pervades all. When my work is done, I will be fulfilled naturally. Beautiful ideals turn into reality. 36 Eight-Trigram arrays, the array of ethical relations. Xiefeng. Translation edited by Qinyu. Ethical relations refers to the relationships established between individuals based on various factors such as generation, status, seniority, gender, and degree of kinship. These relationships include those between grandparents and grandchildren, parents and children, spouses, siblings, uncles and nephews, aunts and nieces, in-laws, rulers and subjects, superiors and subordinates, leaders and followers, employers and employees, masters and disciples, teachers and students, and so on. Various roles in society, such as the president, vice president, secretary of state, prime minister, ministers, governors, mayors, county magistrates, bureau chiefs, section chiefs, town chiefs, village chiefs, and ordinary people, form a hierarchical array. Similarly, roles in a corporation like chairman, CEOs, managers, team leaders, and staff members form another array. In religious contexts, the pope, cardinals, bishops, priests, monks, and believers form yet another array. In a family context, relationships between grandparents, parents, children, and grandchildren form an array. From these principles, we derive a network of relationships: familial relationships, relationships with nature and society, relationships among divine beings, ethical human relationships, moral norms, ethical principles, order of relationships, sequence, order, structure, generational relationships, matching relationships, party relationships, military relationships, relationship charts, quality of relationships, noble relationships, prestigious relationships, tribal relationships, material Relationships, experiential relationships, quality of relationships, intimate relationships, listed relationships, peer relationships, and so on, forming a network of relationships. Ethical relations uphold the order in human society, establishing a clear hierarchy and maintaining orderliness among individuals based on mutual respect and deference. Every individual, regardless of who they are, navigates their life within this matrix of ethical relations, embedded in this intricate web of interpersonal relationships. Should anyone breach these ethical relations, they will face the punitive consequences of this ethical matrix. Such transgressions may include violating norms and ethics, disrupting societal relations, disregarding moral principles, or behaving worse than beasts, resulting in a moral torment or societal condemnation. By binding individuals within these ethical relations, people are provided with guidelines to follow, preventing chaos and disorder. However, being trapped within these ethical relations, individuals become ensnared in a perpetual cycle of life and death, unable to escape the inevitable realm of existence. They are also unable to escape the confines of the territories of different qualities of life. For instance, the influence of parental relations within the ethical array is so profound that it becomes difficult for individuals to escape. Similarly, marital relations within the ethical array constitute a significant portion of one's life, meaning that half of one's happiness or misery is created by their spouse. Once interpersonal relationships are established among individuals, they inevitably come under their influence. Aspects such as consciousness, thought, emotion, spirit, lifestyle, daily routine, diet, ideology, and so on, are unable to form an independent and complete personality in self-system. They cannot achieve harmony. The entire operation of human society is constituted by the array of ethical relations. To transcend to a celestial state, to escape the confines of the realm of necessity and enter the realm of freedom, one must escape the ethical array. Buddha said, all sentient beings are equal, but within the ethical array, equality among sentient beings is difficult to achieve. The reality of life's cycle of reincarnation tells us that the ethical relationships between individuals in this life differ greatly from those in past and future lives. One's grandmother from a past life may become their daughter in this life, their wife in this life may become their mother in the next life, their children in this life may have been enemies in a past life, and someone who helped them in this life may have been their dog in their past life. The relationships between people, what are they exactly? If we limit our understanding of relationships to the present moment, everything seems clear, but if we expand our understanding to encompass a broader span of time and space, everything becomes confusing and difficult to discern. It's quite troublesome. Quite complex. It's a headache. It's better to treat everyone equally and love all sentient beings. How to escape the ethical array? Cultivate independent consciousness, cultivate a complete personality, follow the laws of life and existence according to the will of the ancestor of Buddha, the greatest creator, heed the teachings of Christ Jesus, Buddha Shakyamuni, and the celestial Laozi, establish moral guidelines for a happy, joyful, free, and blessed life. Regardless of who you are, as long as you can make me happy, joyful, free, and blessed, I'll play with you, otherwise, I won't. Regardless of who you are, as long as you can help my life ascend to the realm of freedom and reach heaven, I'll play games with you, otherwise, goodbye. However, one must still fulfill their responsibilities and obligations and repay their debts. 36 Eight-Trigram Arrays, the Array of Desire. Xiefeng. Translation edited by Qinyu. The more you eat, the more you crave, the more you sleep, the lazier you become. The more you steal, the itchier your hands get, the more you gamble, the more avaricious your heart becomes. Habits become second nature, and this second nature obscures our true nature. Things always naturally develop in the direction of habitual tendencies, and in the end, we lose control, sinking deeper and deeper, making it difficult to escape. Everything can become addictive: smoking, drinking, eating meat, using drugs, gaming, seeking pleasure, making money, fighting, holding positions of authority, frequenting bars, even using the internet. Negative emotions like jealousy, resentment, comparison, criticism, blame, lies, laziness, selfishness, greed, and arrogance can also become addictive. Once a person becomes negative and develops an unhealthy psyche, pessimism becomes the theme of their life. They may become isolated, obstinate, stubborn, rigid, and eventually suffer from depression. Why does this happen? This is due to the Eight-Trigram array set up to maintain a certain number of lives in each level of existence. It is called the array of desire. It is like a nose ring on a bull, leading people back and forth in the desire array, making it impossible to escape from a certain space of life. There are 8 major desires: appetite, affection, sexual, desire, desire for pleasure, material desire, desire for reputation, desire for life, desire for possession, control, and desire for excellence. These 8 desires form the desire array. Normal needs are not considered desires. Anything beyond normal needs is considered a desire. For example, constantly craving delicious food, indulging in delicacies, is called desire for food. Constantly thinking about establishing emotional relationships with someone or constantly fantasizing about sexual relationships with different people, rather than going with the flow, is desire for affection or sex. Always seeking leisure activities or indulging in comfort is desire for pleasure. Working tirelessly to earn money to buy property, land, goods, and equipment is material desire. Going to great lengths to maintain a good reputation is desire for reputation. Taking extreme measures for health, consuming supplements, practicing meditation, and living in a state of intoxicated oblivion, is desire for life. Racking one's brains to control resources, people, or positions is desire for possession. Striving with every nerve, enduring hardships to stand out from the crowd, seeking magical powers or supernatural abilities to make others envious, is desire for excellence. Once trapped in the desire array formed by the 8 major desires, one's life becomes one of suffering, without hope or a bright future. It's a life destined for pain, exhaustion, frequent disappointments, and without the joy, happiness, freedom, and bliss one desires. It's a life destined to float and sink in the cycle of reincarnation. How to escape the desire array? Follow the way of the greatest creator. Follow the way of nature. Regarding food, take things as they are, eat until you're full, don't deliberately pursue taste at the expense of slaughtering animals. Regarding love and sexual desire, associate with others by following naturally come-and-go relations, don't pursue it deliberately, nor avoid it deliberately. Regarding pleasure, take advantage of opportunities as they arise, avoid high-end pleasures that waste energy and money as much as possible. Regarding material pursuits, be content with what you have, prioritize simplicity and practicality, avoid extravagance and excessive possession. Regarding reputation, don't seek lasting fame or infamy, let things happen naturally, don't worry too much about people's opinions and judgments, just keep your conscience and morals intact. Regarding health and life and death, leave your life to the greatest creator's arrangement, let your life be governed by Tao. Don't deliberately focus on health, accept life and death as fate, neither craving life nor fearing death. Regarding possession and control, the more you have, the more worries you'll have, the more you control, the more mental labor you'll have. It's better to pursue the state of possessing nothing yet owning everything, to feel content no matter where you are or what you are doing. Regarding excellence, act according to your nature. Everything is born, grows, is punished, and is finally exterminated by nature. Everything is under the arrangement and running of Tao. Don't pursue excellence excessively. If you don't have a good singing voice, trying to excel in singing will be futile. Just express your talents and personality to the fullest. Why bother pursuing excellence? Once you escape the desire array, the world will be vast and boundless. Without desire, you can fulfill desires. Without selfishness, you can fulfill selfishness. 36 Eight-Trigram array, the array of belonging. Xiefeng. Translation edited by Qinyu. Statements like, I am British, I belong to the Yamato people, I am a Christian, I am a member of the Nationalist Party, I work at Carrefour, I am of Asian descent, my family has 5 members, I belong to the tiger zodiac sign, and so on express a sense of belonging for someone. Common characteristics of origin, similar distinguishing features, shared cultural traits, similar beliefs, identical pursuit of ideals, and resonant emotional features divide people into categories such as ethnic groups, nationalities, religious denominations, political parties, and social circles. People always seek a sense of belonging to something, feeling secure and grounded spiritually and psychologically. Everyone wants a home, a sense of belonging to a group, otherwise, they feel unsettled, like lost souls adrift in the world, aimless like clouds drifting in the sky. Placing someone within a certain group, a particular circle, allows them to float within it unknowingly, forming what is called a belonging array. Nations, ethnicities, races, political parties, religions, groups, companies, homes, families, and more constitute the belonging array. Every person, whether willingly or not, is part of the belonging array. Humans inherently belong to the global citizenry. If we see the Earth as a ship drifting in the Milky Way galaxy, then regardless of who we are, we're all on the same ship and should cooperate. But due to the belonging array, people engage in conflicts, killings, and struggles, turning life into a bloody drama, disrupting the harmony of existence. Once people enter the belonging array, they become selfish. For their country, they are willing to sacrifice themselves on the battlefield; for their ethnicity, they are prepared to lay down their lives; for their religion, they are ready to embark on crusades; for their political party, they engage in verbal and physical battles; for their group, they manipulate and monopolize resources in the shadows; for their family, they crush human nature; for their home, they take risks and break laws; for their species, they mistreat and slaughter others. People always seek a sense of belonging, willingly defending the interests of their country, ethnicity, political party, religion, group, family, and home. For this reason, they always look for a circle, establish families, create networks of relationships, and form social organizations, even if it means joining beggar gangs, criminal syndicates, or theft rings, just to belong to some group. This is the belonging array. The vast majority of human beings float and sink within it throughout their lives, unable to escape this Eight-Trigram array. This is a game in the human world, a game that makes people oblivious to the script, maintaining and upholding the existence, value, and function of the transit station in the hierarchical space of humanity. Otherwise, if everyone awakened and became divine, the evolutionary chain of life would form a fracture, and the entire dynamic balance of the universe's life would be disrupted. Creating a sense of belonging can make people short-sighted, narrow-minded, selfish, and keep them trapped in the human world. Otherwise, if everyone were to awaken and ascend to divinity, the evolutionary levels of life would form a fault line, a fracture zone. This would disrupt the ability to implement corresponding punishments for higher-level life forms and appropriate rewards for lower-level life forms. Escaping from the bondages of the 3 realms and 5 elements. To escape the human world and enter heaven, one must escape the belonging array, or else they cannot reach heaven. How can one escape the belonging array? View oneself as a citizen of the earth, not belonging to any country, ethnicity, political party, religion, group, or family. Don't engage in the small family life program; instead, serve the entire earth and humanity, rather than serving any one country, political party, religion, ethnicity, family, or group. In this way, our mind will expand, life will ascend, our soul will gradually perfect, and our consciousness will become pure and orderly. In this way, the frequency of our minds will resonate with the frequency of the minds of the celestial beings of the 1,000-year world. Imagine the 1,000-year world, which is 10 times larger than Earth, with 200 million celestial beings living there. There are no countries, political parties, religions, families, or interest groups. Everyone enjoys resources equally, without any fighting, killing, snatching, grabbing, oppression, exploitation, or conflicts. Everyone is happy, joyful, free, and blissful because there is no belonging array there. 36 Eight-Trigram arrays, the array of heart. Xiefeng. Translation edited by Qinyu. The heart and the physical heart are two entirely distinct concepts. The physical heart is a part of the body's organs, existing in the physical realm. But what about the heart as a concept? What exactly is it and where does it reside? Let's first look at 4 sets of descriptions about the heart. Deeply grieved, heart-rending, tormented, utterly heartbroken, deeply distressed, mind in turmoil, heart shattered. Restless, agitated, harboring ulterior motives, disheartened, mentally distracted, restless mind, lingering fear. With a light heart, heart surging like waves, heart longing for far-off places, willing and content, heart blooming like flowers, clear-minded, intuitively understanding. At peace with oneself, calm and composed, heart filled with satisfaction, open-hearted, change of heart, hearts in harmony, wholeheartedly convinced. There are also phrases like, hearts are in tune, the size of a universe is determined by the breadth of one's heart, you gallop across the sea of my heart. From the above descriptions of the heart, it appears that people are the heart, and the heart is the person. When the heart is like dead ashes, the person also loses vitality and is no different from death. Nothing is more lamentable than a dead heart. When the heart dies, so does the person. What exactly is the heart? Where does it reside? What role does the heart play in human life? In essence, the heart does not exist. Humans fundamentally do not possess a heart. The heart is merely an 8-trigram array. People are entangled in the 8-diagram of the heart, and thought that they have a heart, unaware that they are being bound by this heart array. Buddha Shakyamuni, who possessed supreme authentic wisdom, told us, the past mind cannot be grasped, the present mind cannot be grasped, and the future mind cannot be grasped. The mind is fundamentally non-existent, where can it be obtained? People are often beguiled by their hearts, oscillating between states of heartbreak and heart blossoming, between heart in turmoil and calm heart, between bewildered heart and clear-minded heart, between heart like dead ashes and refreshed heart. They find themselves completely played by the whims of their hearts. In spiritual practice, there is the saying of, the mind is influenced by circumstances, for ordinary people, and the mind influences circumstances, for enlightened beings. In reality, the mind influencing circumstances is passive, futile, and inconclusive. Circumstances are endlessly changing, rising and falling in succession. Relying on the mind is never reliable. The heart is inherently empty, inherently non-existent, so how can it be relied upon? Once trapped in the heart's 8-trigram array, a person's life becomes bewildered, guided by the heart in search of sincerity, loyalty, honesty, and dedication, while guarding against deception, treachery, greed, and fickleness. The result is confusion, suffering, heart turmoil, and physical and mental exhaustion. In romantic relationships, the biggest fear is fickleness, and the pursuit is a complete heart. Once one discovers the other's fickleness, neither food nor sleep brings comfort. From this, jealousy, resentment, anger, and competition swarm in, stirring life into a whirlwind of chaos and conflict, causing unbearable heartache. The heart belongs to the person. If a person is without a heart, they become a celestial being or a Buddha. The heart is an 8-trigram array. By escaping from the 8-diagram array of the heart, one can escape from all the joys and sorrows, the comings and goings of human life, and enter into a beautiful and boundless paradise. How can one escape the heart array? The Buddha Shakyamuni taught us, one should produce a mind that abides nowhere and does not abide in forms to produce a mind, does not abide in sounds, smells, tastes, touch, or dharmas to produce a mind, and should produce a mind that abides nowhere. In other words, discard the heart and become a person without a heart. The Saint Laozi told us, favor and disgrace would seem equally to be feared, honor and great calamity, to be regarded as personal conditions, of the same kind. What makes me liable to great calamity is my having the body, which I call myself. If I had not the body, what great calamity could come to me? This can also be extended to the heart. Heartbreak and heartache occur because we have a heart. If we have no heart, where does the heartbreak and heartache come from? Can one still live without a heart? Yes, it depends on the power of our thinking. If our thinking power is high, we live. If our thinking power is low, we die. Prime Minister Bygone in the Investiture of the Gods was originally living well but was suddenly controlled by the words, "Cabbages have no heart but can live, people without a heart must die," from Su Daji, and immediately died from shock. Without a heart, how does one live? By living out one's nature. The Buddha is the nature, and the nature is the Buddha. Living out one's nature is living as a Buddha, living as celestial, being completely free. 36 Eight-Trigram arrays, the array of intelligence. Xiefeng. All conditioned phenomena are like a dream, an illusion, a bubble, and a shadow, like dew or a flash of lightning. Thus, we shall perceive them. Diamond Sutra. All conditioned phenomena originate from the wise. The actions of the wise throughout their lives resemble dreams and illusions. When humans think, the greatest creator laughs. Thinking is the characteristic of the wise, and the greatest creator laughs upon observing the wise. When the Bodhisattva Avalokitesvara was practicing the profound Prajnaparamita, he illuminated the 5 skandhas and saw that they are all empty, and he crossed beyond all suffering in difficulty. Shariputra, form does not differ from emptiness, emptiness does not differ from form. Form itself is emptiness, emptiness itself is form. So too are feeling, cognition, formation, and consciousness. Shariputra, all dharmas are empty of characteristics. They are not produced, not destroyed, not defiled, not pure, and they neither increase nor diminish. Therefore, in emptiness there is no form, feeling, cognition, formation, or consciousness, no eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, or mind, no sights, sounds, smells, tastes, objects of touch, or dharmas, no field of the eyes up to and including no field of mind consciousness, and no ignorance or ending of ignorance, up to and including no old age and death or ending of old age and death. There is no suffering, no accumulating, no extinction, and no way, and no understanding and no attaining. Because nothing is attained, the Bodhisattva, through reliance on Prajnaparamita, has no obstruction in his mind. Because there is no obstruction, he is not afraid, and he leaves distorted dream thinking far behind. Ultimately Nirvana. The heart of Prajnaparamita Sutra. Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva possesses no wisdom, no obstruction, no fear, no inverted dreams. He merely preserves emptiness and purity, acting according to his nature, handling naturally come-and-go relations with no resistance, taking advantage of opportunities that arise and does not engage in activities or stir up troubles. Wisdom is not different from foolishness, and foolishness is not different from wisdom. Wisdom is foolishness, and foolishness is wisdom. From the perspective of humans, the wise are clever individuals, but from the heavenly perspective, the wise are complete fools. Therefore, the Tao Te Ching says, great wisdom appears like foolishness. Life is a play. To make the plot of the drama exciting and fascinating, there must be wise people. Wise people are like circus clowns, interspersing laughter among the audience. Otherwise, the drama would be too dull and boring. In the world, the wise are likened to flowers, but not fruits. Flowers are charming, beautiful, colorful, and admirable. Therefore, everyone wants to be wise. However, the desire to become wise forms one of the 36 Eight-Trigrams arrays, the array of intelligence, leading people into the Eight-Trigram array of seeking wisdom, making it difficult for them to escape. Consider the lilies how they grow, they toil not, they spin not, and yet I say unto you, that Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these. If then God so clothe the grass, which is today in the field, and tomorrow is cast into the oven, how much more will he clothe you, O ye of little faith? And seek not ye what ye shall eat, or what ye shall drink, neither be ye of doubtful mind. For all these things do the nations of the world seek after, and your Father knoweth that ye have need of these things. But rather seek ye the kingdom of God, and all these things shall be added unto you. Luke 12 verses 27 to 31, the Holy Bible. What did Jesus Christ teach us? He taught us to constantly follow the path of the greatest Creator, to adhere to the way of nature, to learn from the lilies of the field, not to worry about anything, not to be concerned about food, clothing, shelter, transportation, aging, sickness, and death, not to seek wisdom, but to maintain the nature of Tathagata, to maintain the simplicity of human nature. In this way, one can enter the kingdom of the greatest Creator and enjoy the pleasures and eternity of life. The array of intelligence aims to make people clever, different from others, possessing more wealth, fame, status, knowledge, and wisdom than others, making people look up to them, envy them, and be jealous of them. But all of this is nothing but a dream. Everything is a game, only life is real. Seeking wisdom and abandoning the simple nature like a lily is reversing the priority and having distorted dreams. Once ensnared in the array of intelligence, one inevitably becomes engrossed in the pursuit of wealth and honor and is consumed by worries of poverty and humility. One becomes incessantly occupied with learning, researching, and exercising the mind, inevitably becoming proficient in gong, magic, and techniques. One inevitably becomes adept at strategizing and scheming, inevitably engaging in cunning and deceitful tactics with others. In the end, the result is that cleverness often outsmarts itself, and all conditioned phenomena are like dreams, illusions. How does one escape the array of intelligence? Celestial Laozi tells us, abandon sagacity, discard wisdom. Return to the origin and restore the simplicity, return to the infant. Follow the teachings of Jesus Christ, become like little children. Maintain the simplicity of human nature like the lilies, where great wisdom appears as foolishness, and follow the path of the greatest Creator, the natural way. 36 Eight-Trigrams of Time, the Array of Time. Xiefeng. Translation edited by Qinyu. Does time truly exist? What exactly is time? Why do things undergo the cycle of formation, existence, decay, and emptiness? Why do humans experience birth, aging, sickness, and death? Is everything an illusion, or does it truly exist? First, let's examine the prophecies and their fulfillment in the Bible. I will scatter you among the nations. Leviticus 26 verse 33. The Jews will be persecuted among the nations. Leviticus 26 verses 38 to 39. I will gather you from the nations and bring you back to your own land. Ezekiel 36 verse 24. These prophecies were made over 2,000 years ago. When we look back at the history of the Jewish people, we find that they lost their homeland and were scattered among the nations. Later, whether it was in Cyprus, Egypt, Germany, France, England, or in Spain, Czech Republic, Lithuania, Poland, and other nations, the Jews suffered brutal persecution. The persecution suffered by the Jews during World War II was even more severe. Before 1948, Jews gathered from various nations to the Palestinian territories and officially established the State of Israel in May 1948, fulfilling the above prophecies. Next, let's look at the prophecies made by the French physician Nostradamus in The Centuries, over 400 years ago. The Century 3, Quatrain 92. The world near the last period, Saturn will come back again late, empire transferred towards the dusky nation, the eye plucked out by the goshawk at Narbonne. The Century 6, Quatrain 10. In a short time, the temples with colors of white and black of the two intermixed, red and yellow ones will carry off theirs from them, blood, land, plague, famine, fire extinguished by water. This prophecy is being fulfilled. First, empire transferred towards the dusky nation, was fulfilled when the African-American Barack Obama became President of the United States. Of white and black of the two intermixed was fulfilled when President Obama, a black man, and Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, a white woman, intermixed. In this situation, other races cannot maintain their characteristics and positions. For example, the recent military exercises between South Korea, Japan, and the United States, Obama's pledge to lead Asia at the ASEAN summit, and since the beginning of this year, blood, plague, famine, fire, and floods have occurred everywhere. Let's look at the ancient Chinese prophecy, the inscription of the Jinling Pagoda. Jinling Pagoda, Lu Ji built it, Chiang Kai-shek demolished it. With the pagoda gone, the army and the people will slaughter each other. The Jinling Pagoda, located on the outskirts of Nanjing, was constructed by Liu Bowen, also known as Lu Ji, a military strategist from the Ming dynasty, approximately 600 years ago. In 1918, when the Nationalist Army seized control of Nanjing, there were strange noises emanating from the pagoda. As a result, Chiang Kai-shek ordered its demolition. During the demolition process, the inscription of the Jinling Pagoda was uncovered, thereby fulfilling the prophecy, Lu Ji built it, Chiang Kai-shek demolished it. This prophecy, made 600 years ago, foretold that Chiang Kai-shek would be the one to demolish the Jinling Pagoda. There are also prophecies such as Liu Bowen's Song of Xiaobing, Baked Cake and Griddle, Xiao Yong's Poem of Plum Blossom, Li Chunfeng and Yuan Tiangong's Pushing Back, Zhuge Liang's Lesson Before Horse, Jiang Taigong's Song of Heaven and Earth for Thousands of Years, Master Busu's Prophecy Poem, Poem of Zen Master Huang Tiller, Li Chunfeng's Hidden Head Poem, and so on, most of which have been fulfilled. Especially noteworthy is the Prophecy Poem of Master Busu, which mentions iron birds soaring in the sky, the southeast completely destroyed. Busu was a great general in the Sui dynasty, over 1,000 years ago. There were no airplanes in his era, yet he saw airplanes and called them iron birds, showing how accurate his prophecy was. Hundreds of years ago, over 1,000 years ago, over 2,000 years ago, being able to accurately predict the future state, what do these facts illustrate? They illustrate that time does not exist, time is just an illusion for humans. Or rather, time is just a recorder of material movement states, and time itself does not play any role in the development and change of things. How to understand? Everything has already been arranged. Even the names of people have been arranged. For example, Chiang Kai-shek. The inscription of the Jinling Pagoda already knew 600 years ago that someone named Chiang Kai-shek would demolish the Jinling Pagoda. What does this mean? It means that the entire universe, the entire development and change of humanity, has already been written as a script. The locations, characters, events, and plots are all written in the script. Everything is unfolding according to the script. Even every person's experiences of birth, aging, sickness, and death, joys and sorrows, separations and reunions, all within the fixed number, all within the program, all within the prearranged plot. If you still don't understand, please find a long novel. Flip to page 81 and see what the plot is on that page. Suppose that page is your present. Then, if you randomly flip to any page before or after, you will find that everything about you has already been arranged in the novel, and everything is being performed according to the plot of the novel. The entire history of mankind is also like this. If it were not prearranged, then no prophecy would be accurate, and no great prophet would be able to predict what would happen the next day, let alone predict the situation decades, hundreds, or thousands of years later. Time does not exist. Anyone can go back to their past or run to their future, just like flipping through a long novel at will. If you want to flip to a certain page, you can flip to that page. Those who can do this have opened the Buddha's eye and are Buddhas. Those who cannot do this have not yet opened the Buddha's eye and have not yet become Buddhas. In fact, whether one is a Buddha or not has already been arranged. It's just that one is lost in the array of time and cannot experience the state of Buddha. I have already analyzed that in the universe, except for one accident, the rest are all inevitable. That is to say, the current situation of each of us has already been arranged in the script, and how it will be in the future must also be performed according to the plot of the script, and we cannot help ourselves. To put it further, every person we meet, every event we encounter, the joys and sorrows, separations and reunions of our lives, how our eating, clothing, housing, and transportation, birth, aging, sickness, and death occur, how they change, and how they end, are all arranged in the program. In fact, we are powerless and can only face it. Therefore, a contradiction arises. Since everything is predetermined, scripted, and programmed, and individual powerlessness, then what's the point of cultivation, accumulating merits to repay karmic debts and accumulate treasures in the kingdom of heaven, or building one's own spiritual garden before 2013, etc. Xiefeng's guidance is also unnecessary, and the Chanyuan value is contradictory. It is contradictory indeed, but also not contradictory at all. Because I have already said, everything is a game, only life is real. We should take things as they are, associate with others by following natural come-and-go relations, act in accordance with one's intrinsic nature, and take advantage of opportunities as they arise. Dharma sets no rules, it is ever-changing, form has no set shape, non-form is form, and there are mysteries within mysteries, and there are exceptions to the rules. More importantly, we must act according to the script. Once one achieves enlightenment and becomes a Buddha, or ascends to become a celestial being, time ceases to exist. Prior to reaching such a state, every individual is caught within the time array. We often find ourselves reminiscing about the past and anticipating the future. We frequently experience joy or distress about our current circumstances, and we feel either calm or anxious, content or fearful. We often worry and feel anxious about the wrinkles forming on our foreheads and the gradual sagging of our skin as we age. The concepts of past, present, and future, yesterday, today, and tomorrow, past life, present life, and next life, youth, adulthood, and old age, all these are part of the time array. We are all trapped within this time array, unable to extricate ourselves or transcend it. We often lament the swift passage of time, the loss of our youth, and find ourselves racing against the clock, working around the clock. We frequently regret the past and feel melancholic about the future. All these are the results of being caught in the time array. Time is illusory, a misconception of the mind. Like capturing our youth and vitality on a DVD, if we keep it safe, no matter how many thousands of years later we play it back, we will still be in our prime. Our current situation is similar to playing a DVD, but we are unable to do so ourselves. Why can't we look back on our past and future? Because we are confined within the time array. We are actors, not playwrights or directors. Only by escaping the time array can we be free from its constraints and enter the eternal kingdom of freedom to fully enjoy the pleasures of life. How to escape the time array? Anyone who wants to escape from the program, to escape from the plot, is impossible. Otherwise, people would enter the time tunnel to kill their own mothers and escape the script directly to the Pure Land or the Celestial Islands continent. However, you can step out of yourself and transcend yourself to observe yourself. Make a DVD for yourself, then play it on the TV or computer and watch yourself. How does it feel? Preset yourself in the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, the Elysium Celestial Islands continent, and then watch yourself in the world as if watching a movie. This is the wonderful method of escaping the time array. Once you escape the time array and observe yourself, at that moment, all aspects of life resemble acting in a play. Whether you're playing the role of a great person or a commoner, whether you're portraying a wealthy individual or a beggar, whether you're acting as a tour guide or a Chanyuan celestial, whether you're playing the role of an aggressor or a victim, whether you're portraying a young person or an old person, it's all the same. It's all just a game, just acting. There's nothing to be distressed, worried, resentful, anxious, fearful, or afraid of. Even if the character in the script dies, it doesn't matter, because we still exist. Want to stay forever young? You can. Want to grow old forever? You can. Want to be in love and enter the bridal chamber every day? You can. The key is to distinguish between yourself in the plot and your true self. The self in the plot is the one who is currently watching the time array of the 36 8-trigram arrays. The true self is the one described in the Heart Sutra, the one in the Celestial Islands continent, the Buddha. The nature. The celestial being. Can't break free. Don't worry, breaking free from the time array is a matter of thinking. Please continue along the tour guide route map, and one day you will see the light and understand everything. Yay! 36 8-trigram array, the array of thinking. Xiefeng. Translation edited by Qinyu. 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. Can 1 plus 1 equal 0, 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? This is a matter of thinking, or rather, a matter of cognitive ability. What is the relationship between an elephant and a stone? In the usual sense, there isn't much of a relationship between an elephant and a stone. However, in the well-known story, Chow Chong weighs an elephant, Chow Chow's 7-year-old son established a corresponding relationship between an elephant's weight and a stone using a boat as a medium, easily solving the problem of the elephant's weight. This is thinking. The method by which the ancient Greek philosopher, mathematician, and physicist Archimedes determined whether a crown was counterfeit is also a good example of understanding and exploring thinking. How can an ant freely climb from one surface to the other side of the same surface without going through a hole or climbing over an edge? Conventional thinking cannot find a solution, only unconventional thinking with a Mobius strip can achieve this. The level of a person's intelligence is mainly reflected in their ability to think. It can be said that with stronger thinking ability comes a higher level of life, with weaker thinking ability comes a lower level of life. The stronger the thinking ability, the closer it is to a higher level of life, the weaker the thinking ability, the closer it is to a lower level of life. Clearly, the thinking ability of plants is lower than that of animals, the thinking ability of animals is lower than that of humans, the thinking ability of humans is lower than that of celestials and Buddhas, the thinking ability of celestials and Buddhas is lower than that of gods, and the thinking ability of gods is lower than that of the greatest creator. Therefore, I summarize thinking ability into 8 levels: material thinking, image thinking, associative thinking, elusive thinking, visualized thinking, Tai Chi thinking, formless thinking, and holographic thinking, with each level higher than the last. So, what is thinking? Thinking is the dimension and process of thought, pondering, and contemplation. The broader and deeper the dimension of thought, the stronger the ability to analyze, summarize, synthesize, reason, judge, infer, and find solutions to problems. Thinking is related to dimensionality. The thinking of a caterpillar is limited to the two-dimensional world, so its thinking ability is low. The thinking of plants is limited to the static three-dimensional world, so their thinking ability is lower than that of animals whose thinking is limited to the dynamic three-dimensional world. Birds live in four-dimensional spacetime, so they are freer than land animals. Humans exist in the three-dimensional world, but because of their rich imagination, they can extend sensory knowledge into the realm of reason, so their thinking ability is stronger than that of birds. Celestials live in a world of 4 dimensions or more, so they are higher life forms than humans. Buddhas and gods traverse the 36-dimensional spaces, and their thinking ability is unimaginable. The greatest creator lives in holography, and his thinking ability is beyond imagination, it is inscrutable. When thinking ability is low, one can appear very foolish and stupid. When humans observe animals, they often perceive them as incredibly stupid. Similarly, when celestials observe humans, they also find them to be incredibly foolish. For instance, humans have been struggling within the confines of the institution of marriage and family for thousands of years. Why not change their way of life? Humans can indeed seem incredibly stupid. Human suffering and distress stem from consciousness, with thinking being a primary component of consciousness. To alleviate the suffering and distress rooted in consciousness, one must diligently work on their thinking. This involves transforming the way we think, expanding the scope of our thinking, and breaking free from the constraints of conventional thinking to think creatively. Otherwise, suffering and distress will persist endlessly. Confining all levels, types, and layers of life within certain dimensions, such that their thinking cannot transcend the spacetime of their existence, thereby presenting the wonderful diversity and maintaining the orderly hierarchy of life, is what constitutes the array of thinking. In order to elevate the quality of life, to venture into higher dimensional spaces of life and live freely, it is essential to break free from the constraints of original thinking, not to adhere rigidly to established rules, and to understand that nothing is impossible. There are only things that are beyond imagination and beyond the reach of one's thinking ability. The miracles presented by Jesus are beyond our imagination, beyond our ability of thinking. This is the difference in thinking between humans and gods. The super-celestial beings of the Elysium Celestial Islands continent are capable of performing 64 kinds of divine abilities and can transform all things at will. This is something that we, with our limited thinking abilities, cannot fully comprehend. So, how does one break free from the array of thinking? The answer is that it's impossible to completely escape the array of thinking. The only solution is to elevate our lower-level thinking to a higher level. As humans, if we think, ponder, and contemplate with the thinking of celestials, discard our human thinking, then we can escape the thinking array granted to human and enter the world of celestials, then the pain and troubles associated with being human will disappear. The following 8 points can help people escape from the array of thinking for human and enter the thinking realm of celestial and Buddha. Thoroughly understand the principles and reincarnation mysteries of life, and realize that life is not extinguished, only transformed, so do not fear death, instead, consider it the greatest good. Escape from the time array, find the true self, and view the self who acts as an actor in the script as a play, a dream. Frequently let consciousness enter the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, the Elysium Celestial Islands continent, imitating and emulating the way of life and thinking of celestials. Strengthen visualized thinking, frequently and freely imagining beautiful things, scenes, and people. Escape from the heart array, desire array, affection array, ethical relation array, belonging array, and wisdom array, live by one's nature. Do not take one's kind as the reference object, do not always consider oneself as human in consciousness, do not believe there are no solutions to difficult problems, do not think in terms of conventional thinking when considering problems, do not be afraid to think freely as bound by traditional moral preaching and scientific knowledge, do not be influenced and restricted by one's appearance, gender, race, physique, culture, environment, etc., and dare not enter the micro and macro worlds. Do not think that without wings, one cannot fly, do not think that without eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and body, one cannot eat, drink, excrete, sleep. Fully understand and comprehend that all phenomena are illusory, emptiness is not different from form, and form is not different from emptiness, consciousness creates reality, and time and space cannot block consciousness. Act according to one's nature. Here, nature refers to the nature of the Tathagata. 36 Eight-Trigram arrays, the array of space. Xiefeng. Translation edited by Qinyu. The position and range of movement of material and non-material are referred to as space. Space is divided into positive and negative aspects. The space composed of material is called positive space, and the space composed of non-material is called negative space. When material disappears, positive space also disappears, when non-material disappears, negative space also disappears. Therefore, the universe does not have a fixed size, its size changes depending on the existence and state of material and non-material. There are 36 dimensional spaces in the universe, and different spaces correspond to different forms and connotations of life. To maintain the symmetrical balance of various levels of life space in the universe, the greatest creator has established a space array, which places each life in a certain space to complete the process of growth and decline in order to maintain the overall symmetrical balance of life in the entire universe. The space array is as follows. First, macroscopically divide space into material space and non-material space. Material space includes the Earth space, human world, where human society is located, the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world and so on. Non-material space includes human dreams, the Pure Land, and the Celestial Islands continent. They are separated as yin, non-material, and yang, material, mutually unaware of each other. Then, according to the different non-material structures of each life, they are arranged in specific spaces in more than 30-dimensional spaces, making it impossible for them to exceed their own space. Finally, each life's senses and thoughts are restricted to a certain level, making them unable to see or be aware of the existence of other spaces, in order to maintain the order of various levels of life space and keep the sum of positive and negative energy in the universe equal to zero. In order to maintain the existence of the human world with both high and low-level life, when setting up human life, their auditory range is limited to between 20 and 20,000 Hz, and their visual range is limited to between 400 and 700 nanometers, so that humans cannot hear or see activities in other life spaces and can feel at ease in the human world. At the same time, human thinking is limited to the range of material, imagery, association, and illusion, making humans unaware that there are other life spaces outside the human world. Space is a kind of limitation. The larger the space for survival, the greater the freedom of life. Prisoners are confined to a few square meters of space. Pigs are confined to pigsties, fish are confined to water, earthworms are confined to soil, eagles are confined to cliffs and the sky, tigers and leopards are confined to mountains and jungles, plants are confined to land, and humans are confined to home, family, country. This is the space array. The space of every life is limited. There are not many lives with unlimited space. Even the life with the greatest freedom in the universe, super-celestial beings, is limited to the Celestial Islands continent. Only the space of deity celestial beings is unrestricted, but when deity celestial beings enter a certain space, they must abide by the restrictions of that space, making it difficult to achieve a high degree of freedom. Compared to humans, chickens, ducks, pigs, sheep, cows, and horses are pitiful because their space is limited relative to humans. Compared to celestials, humans are pitiful because the space they can move in during their lifetime is very limited and difficult to compare with the space where celestials can move. To become a higher-level life, humans must escape the activity space that restricts them, just as pigs must escape from the pigsty to become humans. How to escape the space array? First of all, it's a matter of consciousness and thinking. If consciousness remains unchanged and thinking does not change, one can never escape the space array. Escape in form is not the ultimate escape. For example, if a pig escapes from a pigsty but does not possess human consciousness and thinking, then even if it escapes, it either cannot survive or will return to the pigsty. To escape from the human space array, first, one must resolve not to be human. If one wants to continue being human, no matter how much they struggle or travel around the world, they will still be unable to escape the palm of the Tathagata Buddha or escape the human world. Jumping out of the three realms and not in the five elements means being unable to escape the three realms and thus being unable to escape the bondage of the five elements. The specific steps should be as follows. First, one must understand life spaces that are better and of higher levels than the human world, such as the 1,000-year world. Then, learn and imitate the lifestyle of celestial beings in the 1,000-year world, replace one's existing consciousness with the consciousness of celestial beings, and think in the way celestial beings think. Then, gradually break free from the thinking patterns of families, political parties, religions, and countries, strive to live like celestial beings, and finally, give up all possessions acquired in the human world, repay all debts owed in the human world, accumulate some capital to enter higher-level life spaces, and escape from the human world directly to paradise, such as the 1,000-year world. 36 Eight-Trigram arrays, the array of structure. Xiefeng. Translation edited by Qinyu. Everything has a structure, which is the determining factor for the shape and properties of things. The shape and properties of all things, whether it's a mountain, a building, a pencil, a molecule, an atom, a basic particle, a plant, a flower, an insect, a person, a dog, or a fish, are determined by their structures. Without structure, there would be no existence. The distinguishing feature of one thing from another lies in the difference in structure. People look different from each other because their structures differ. The diversity and wonders of the world result from the differences and variations in structures. The taste of sweetness, sourness, bitterness, saltiness, and spiciness is determined by the structure of food. The colors red, orange, yellow, green, indigo, blue, and purple are determined by the structure of colors. The sense of fragrance, stench, pungent, muddiny, and fishiness are determined by the structure of odors. Anything perceived by touch is determined by its structure. Without structure, there would be no universe, no life, and no everything. The characteristics of things and the nature of life are determined by structure. Mountains have mountain nature, water has water nature, people have human nature, and animals have animal nature. Everything has its own nature, determined by structure. Some flowers emit fragrance, while others do not. Peach trees bear peaches, pear trees bear pears, but willow trees do not bear fruit. All of this is due to structure. Countless structures of astronomical proportions constitute the universe and this vibrant world. Every entity follows its own kind, each displaying its unique brilliance. All things fulfill their roles and exhibit their talents in an orderly fashion, without any chaos. This forms the intricate structure array. To change the nature of things, one must first change their structure. If the structure of a thing remains unchanged, its nature will not change. Computers are updated rapidly, mainly due to changes in their structures. As a life form, for example, a dog that wishes to cease being a dog and become a human must change its own structure from that of a dog to that of a human. As a human, if one wishes to cease being human and become a celestial being, one must change the human structure to that of a celestial being. All things and life forms are confined to a certain spatial environment by their structures. Humans live in the human world and cannot live in the celestial world. This is the restraint and restriction of the structure array. If one wants to escape from the human world and enter the celestial world to live, one must escape from the structure array. A person living in a marriage and family will inevitably be entangled in the troubles and affairs of marriage and family, making it difficult to break free. To escape from the suffering of being human, one must step out of marriage and family. If you do not step out of family life, do not expect to be free from the troubles and worries brought about by marriage and family. A person living in the human world is inevitably constrained and bound by the structure array of the human world. They must spend their entire life bustling about for food, clothing, shelter, and transportation. Without escaping from the human world, one cannot expect to live leisurely. To live freely and leisurely, one must break free from the constraints of the structure array of the human world. To jump out of the three realms and not be bound by the five elements, to escape from the structure array of humans and enter the structure array of celestial beings, is another way of life. So, how does one escape from the structure array? It's simple, just change the non-material structure of human life to that of celestial life. How to replace human life structure with celestial life structure? The answer is, format human consciousness and reinstall celestial consciousness. As long as consciousness changes, the non-material structure of life will change. Which aspects of human consciousness need to be changed, and which aspects need to be replaced with celestial consciousness? Nationalism, religion, political party, ethnicity, marriage, and family consciousness are human consciousness. Jealousy, resentment, anger, selfishness, greed, laziness, competition, antagonism, and possession are all human consciousness. The pursuit of fame, profit, status, merit, ancestral glory, eternal fame, longevity, wealth, magical powers, and special abilities are all human consciousness. Fear, worry, anxiety, and scariness are human consciousness. Emotional and life dependence on external factors is human consciousness. Wanting to change nature is human consciousness. Embracing things as they are, associating with others by following naturally come-and-go relations, acting in accordance with our natures, seizing opportunities as they arise, walking in accordance with the laws of nature, feeling content no matter where we are or what we are doing, following our own nature and being unrestrained, following our destiny and being carefree, these are all expressions of celestial consciousness. Enjoying life, playing, and entertaining oneself are also manifestations of celestial consciousness. Surrendering life to the greatest creator and allowing the process of life to be arranged by Tao, this too is celestial consciousness. To fully understand celestial consciousness, one must understand the lifestyle and mindset of the celestials living in the celestial worlds. For example, understanding the lifestyle and mindset of the celestials in the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, and the celestial islands continent, and learning from them, imitating them, and embodying them bit by bit. Once human consciousness is replaced by celestial consciousness, one will escape from the structure array set up for humans and can go to the celestial world to enjoy the life of celestials. 36 Eight-Trigram Arrays, the Array of Fate. Xiefeng. Translation edited by Qinyu. When a person is born into this world, known as the human world, it seems as though everything has already been arranged, with little room for personal choice. Factors such as one's parents, birth date and time, family environment, era of birth, gender, appearance, talents, temperament, race, region, siblings, and more are predetermined. Throughout life, the type of education one receives, the profession one pursues, the people one encounters, the life's twists and turns, whether one falls ill and what illnesses one suffers from, how much wealth one accumulates, what level of fame and status one achieves, how much suffering and joy one experiences, all these seem predetermined. In youth, one might believe that they can determine these things through their own efforts. However, as one grows older, they may realize that many things seem to have been predestined, and they are simply drifting along with the current of fate. Even one's aging, death, and the manner of death seem beyond one's control, not to mention what happens after death. This is the essence of the fate array. The fate array represents the predetermined aspects of one's life, the karmic arrangements made by the Tao based on each person's past life genetic information, a one-time comprehensive assessment of one's past merits and misdeeds. Things in this life that one cannot choose or control are the karmic results of one's past deeds, that is, the cause of the past life and the fruit of this life. From the moment of birth, individuals are ensnared in the web of the fate array. No matter how hard one strives or struggles, it's difficult to escape their influence. Want to choose different parents? Alter your gender, birth time, or location. Change your inherent nature. It's simply impossible, all choices are